Hello, my name is Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for June 19th to June 25th of 2016. And on June 19th, we have the sun. You can see it denoted here by this black circle with a dot in it. It's in the final degrees of Gemini and about to move into Cancer on the 20th for the solstice. It's also in the 15th hexagram, and on the outside of the wheel we have the chop mark for the 15th hexagram, numbered from bottom to top. The 15 goes yin, yin, yang, yin, yin, yin. And then the 15th hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right here, this is the 15th gate of extremes, modesty, the quality of behavior, which expresses the proper balance between extremes, located in the G center in a collective logic energy path in the understanding circuit called the channel of rhythm, a design of being in the flow that connects to its harmonic, the fifth gate of fixed rhythms, waiting, the fundamental attunement to natural rhythms, waiting as an active state of awareness. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person, that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we've got the following activated gates on June 19th. We have the sun in the 15th gate with the earth in the 10th gate. The north node is in the 64th gate with the south node in the 63rd gate. Mercury is in the 16th gate, with Venus is in the 15th gate along with the sun. Mars is retrograde in the 43rd gate. Jupiter is in the 64th gate along with the north node. Saturn is retrograde in the 5th gate. Uranus is in the 42nd gate. Neptune is retrograde in the 63rd gate, which is sharing with the south node, and Pluto is retrograde in the 54th gate. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And we begin the week with one channel definition due to the transit field, with Saturn in the 5th gate and the Sun and Venus in the 15th gate. We have the channel of rhythm, a design of being in the flow until June 24th. During that time period, people may feel like they are in their own natural rhythm. So if your world seems chaotic, you might want to examine whether you're following your strategy and authority, because this energy influences us to be effortlessly in the flow. People may align with the deeper patterns in life. This definition also influences folks' sense of rhythm and tempo through their attunement to their environment, moving from fixed to changing rhythms and back again. And the defined G center could influence those without to obsess about where they're headed or where they're going to find love. And then the defined sacral center could influence non-generator types in feeling busy and having the endurance to work. Obviously not something you want to get used to. Also, they might think that they know when enough is enough, which could lead to the premature end to something that really needs more time. June 19th begins with the sun in the first line of the 15th hexagram, where it's exalted due to Venus also being in the 15, and is described as duty, the ability to confront any challenge without expectations. Exalted harmonic relationships which give support to the fulfillment of any task, the capacity of the self to confront any challenges through extreme and harmonic relationships. Later on the 19th, the sun then moves into the second line of the 15th hexagram at 10:08 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 2:08 UT on the 20th. The sun is exalted in the 15:2 and described as influence. Exalted modesty and right action result in enduring standards, the capacity of the self to accept its extreme nature as correct. On the 20th, the sun then moves into the third line of the 15th hexagram at 9:42 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 1:42 UT on the 21st. The sun in the 15:3 is ego inflation, the risk The risk that modesty, once recognized, will self-destruct. Exalted, where the otherwise negative contrived modesty is here reinforced by the recognition and maintained as an effective strategy. The extremism of the self as strategy to control the flow. Detriment, I told you so mentality, the capacity of self to point out the extremes of others. And also on the 20th, Mercury moves from the 16th hexagram in gate to the 35th. And Venus leaves the Sun in the 15, and it moves to the 52nd gate in hexagram. So Mercury in mythology was the messenger of the gods. So this is about communication, and Ra described it as the expansion of human consciousness through communication, not just as words, but also in music, as music. And so we've got Mercury in the 35th gate of change, progress. By design, progress cannot exist in a vacuum and is dependent on interaction. Mercury is in the first line of the 35th gate in hexagram, which is humility, the ability to accept rejection. Exalted, the artist that accepts rejection as part of the process, acceptance of change and rejection as part of the process. Detrimented, this self-destructive reaction to rejection, loss of worth, change and rejection as humiliation. And in the program, Mercury is about expression through communication. It influences the homogenized population to communicate about the themes of the gate and line that Mercury is transiting. The primary impact is psychological. It impacts the not-self mind. It distorts the way we look at things, which in a way that leads to action. It conditions people to think and communicate about the same things, which they all think of as being normal. And also on the 20th, like I said, we have Venus leaving the Sun in the 15th gate in hexagram and moving into the 52nd hexagram and gate. And in human design, Venus is about values, morality, natural law, in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us. And Venus is in the 52nd gate of inaction, keeping still, mountain. Temporary and self-imposed inaction for the benefit of assessment. Venus is in the first line of the 52nd hexagram and gate, which is described as think before you speak. Exalted, the pause that is so profound that it leads to silence. The pacification of energy that leads to stillness. Detrimenting speaking first and living with the consequences afterward. Energy that cannot be stilled. And in the program, Venus is about control through maintaining the status quo in a way in which we operate with each other. We experience transiting planets through the Maya, and we're not here to avoid the Maya, but to embrace it as yourself through using your individual strategy and authority. On the 21st, the Sun then moves into the fourth line of the 15th hexagram at 9:19 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 1:19 UT on the 22nd. The Sun is detrimented in the 15:4 due to Saturn being in the 5th gate, and it's described as the wallflower, modesty that shields against exposure of inadequacy, detriment, the ultimate weak defense leading to exposure and humiliation, extremism that keeps the self out of the flow. On the 22nd, the Sun moves into the 5th line of the 15th hexagram at 8:53 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 0:53 UT on the 23rd. The Sun in the 15:5 is described as sensitivity, the ability to sense when otherwise balanced behavior must be adjusted to meet the requirements of a changing environment. exalted, the power to grow, the capacity of the self to grow through experiencing the extremes, detrimented, the tendency to overcompensate, the drive of the self to overcompensate and disturb the flow. And then on the 23rd, we have the sun moving into the 6th line of the 15th hexagram at 8:29 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's 0:29 UT on the 24th. The sun in the 15-6 is self-defense. Modesty is never confused with weakness. Exalted. Constant re-examination to weed out the weakest aspects, the power of the self, and exploring extremes to find the weakest points. Detrimented, a tendency to use harmony as a weapon for problem situations rather than focusing on the real cause. The power of the self that ignores the weak points in favor of harmony. And also on the 23rd, Mercury moves from the 35th gate in hexagram to the 45th. So we talked about Mercury being about communication, and it is in the gate of the gatherer, gathering together, the natural and genetically beneficial attraction of like forces. And in the first line of the 45, Mercury is in the line of canvassing, exalt the ability to promote and develop gathering together through education of the uncommitted, the material direction that lies in education. Detriment of the overzealousness that can turn canvassing into proselytization and tends to alienate rather than gain support. The drive for material that leads to aggressive education. And then on the 24th, the sun moves out of the 15th gate in the hexagram and joins Venus in the 52nd gate in the hexagram, which means this is no longer defined. And we also have the Earth moving from the 10, and it moves into the 58. All right, so we've got the Earth in the 58th hexagram, and this is the gate of aliveness. The joyous stimulation is the key to joy. And this shift happens at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 0:05 UT on the 25th. The sun is in the 52nd gate of inaction, keeping still, mountain, temporary and self-imposed inaction for the benefit of assessment. And the sun in the first line of the 52 is think before you speak, exalted, the pause that is so profound it leads to silence, the pacification of energy which leads to stillness. Detriment is speaking first and living with the consequences afterwards, the energy that cannot be still. And as we move from the 15 to the 52, we're entering into the gate of keeping still like the mountain. There's a collective logic gate in the root center. The 52nd gate is under pressure in the form of stress, which brings meaning to the subtitle, the temporary and self-imposed inaction for the benefit of assessment. This is part of the format energy of the understanding circuit, and it brings the collective pressure the collective pressures to be shared, to be logical, but it also can bring the potential for depression that comes from not having anything to do while standing still. And even though it is a pressure gate, this is about not moving until the pattern has been analyzed, to take responsibility, to understand before taking action. It's pointing towards the ninth gate in the sacral, the gate of focus. So this is about being still until there's a response, until the action is understood. Of course, this gate occurs in charts of non-generators who may not be looking for focus. So the waiting may be more difficult for those without the ninth gate. This can bring a restlessness instead of calmness. To keep moving, unable to rest and be still, not knowing when enough is enough. This has the polarity gate of the 58th gate, the joyous, the vitality to flow with life. And it is the vital pressure to correct. This is also being a root center gate in the understanding circuit, along with the 52. Gate 52 can be uncomfortable while waiting for understanding. And this brings us to the cross of service. And that's service that's rooted in passive concentration. It's collective responsibility to make sure that the pattern is correct, through being still while making assessments with the sun in the 52. And on the 25th, the sun then moves into the second line of the 52nd hexagram at 7:40 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 2340 UT on the 25th. So the sun in the 52-2 is described as concern, exalted, the pause that is initiated to benefit others. The pause to restrain energy for the benefit of others. Detrimented, a selfish, abrupt pause that may endanger others unnecessarily. The pressure to selfishly restrain energy at the expense of others. And then also on the 25th, Venus moves. It leaves the sun behind in the 52nd. And it moves into the 39th hexagram and gate over there. So we have Venus in the gate of provocation, obstruction, the value of obstruction in provoking analysis, assessment and reevaluation. And Venus is in the first line of the 39, which is a disengagement, exalted, the determination when confronted by obstacles to withdraw, but only temporarily, the energy to provoke by refusing to confront obstacles, detrimented, disengagement with the accompanying indecision as to when to re-engage, the refusal to confront obstacles without the capacity to know when to engage. The indecision is also provocation. So thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be for June 26, 2016, and available on the 25th, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. And you can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, and YouTube, as there's New World Birth presences in all those places. I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose, and invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you've got any questions or wish to schedule a reading. And I am providing readings, and done what I can to make this affordable to everybody as best I can. So if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available, and it's been pretty lean around here. So if you're interested in making a donation, please contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com to find out how to make a donation, or to schedule a reading. It's a great way to support us here and also get something of value for yourself. As always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries, their synthesis and application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. Peace, everybody.